wrap up this section on the integumentary system, and it is the largest of the 11 systems of the body. It is the skin. It covers the entire body. A couple things we want to know about it is, what is the material in the skin that gives the skin color? So this gives color, and it's what everybody, of course, wants with a nice tan, right? Well, the thing that's in your skin that gives color is a pigment, and the pigment is called melanin. Melanin. And so if a person has more melanin, they have a darker skin color. If a person has lighter melanin, less melanin, they have a lighter and lighter skin color. And so you might have seen someone who has no melanin at all, and they're called an albino. They have no melanin at all, and so they are absolutely white. In fact, they're kind of pinkish because the skin is so white, you can sort of see the blood and not the blood, but the pinkish color of the below skin, which would be the dermis, okay? So absolutely white. Now, someone who is absolutely dark, who has lots of melanin, would be a person who's black, or has black, dark skin. And so this would have more melanin in the skin pigment. Now, skin itself has a couple things in it that kind of keep it lubricated and keep it waterproof. There's a waterproof material in the skin, and this material that makes it kind of oily is called sebum. Sebum. And you'll note that in your diagram, you'll see in the skin the sebaceous gland that oils and lubricates the skin. So it's a sebaceous gland. The material it has, this oil, is sebum. Now, one of the things that we also see, and of course we want to contrast this with a fish, is, of course, the fish has scales. They have an oily substance on their scales that kind of gives them kind of a mucus slime around on their scales. Very important for them to keep that slime to be healthy. Humans, on the other hand, very different. We have the sebum, but it's in skin, right? And so, of course, keeps the skin oily, keeps it from cracking. So it maintains that skin. And we see that in our skin, we've got all kinds of pain receptors and things. In the fish skin, we have scales and oils. Now, we do have one review question I want to go over, and this is on the test. I want to go over the 11 systems of the human body, and let's just list them real quick. Of course, we have the integumentary system, which is the skin. It protects the body and maintains homeostasis. We've got the muscular system. This allows the body to move. The muscles pull on the bones. We've got the bony system. That's the skeletal system. The skeletal system gives structure to the body, and it really keeps the body in a framework. It kind of holds the body up. It supports the body. You wouldn't say the skeletal system moves the body. It keeps the body and gives it form, but the thing that really moves it is the muscular system. Now, we also have the nervous system, which are the brain and all the nerves, right? We have the circulatory system, which is the heart and all the veins and arteries. You guys enjoyed that cow's heart that we dissected, and that was an interesting time, as well as the little brains that we looked at, the little sheep brains for the nervous system. We also have the digestive system. It takes the food and pulverizes it and chops it up and makes it real small and able to be chewed and eaten. We have the immune system. The immune system is the system that protects the body from disease. So the immune system includes the lymph nodes and the white blood cells that attack the foreign bacteria in the blood. We have the exocrine system, which are the glands that push that are or include all the glands. We have endocrine. Actually, it's the endocrine. Let me write that instead. Endocrine are the glands. We have the excretory system. The excretory system gets rid of waste, so that would include the skin gets rid of some of the waste through sweat, but it includes the solid waste and the liquid waste that we eliminate as well. And we've got so we also have the respiratory system and the reproduction system. So respiratory, of course, is the way we respire. We inhale and exhale the air, and it includes the lungs and the trachea and the different structures, the bronchial tubes, the bronchus, the alveoli inside the lungs. And then reproduction, which is on this test, coming up the exam, includes all of the organs where the baby grows and reproduction takes place. So we've gone over that before. So those are our 11 systems. And right now, this is a great time to focus a little bit on a system that's very, very different in the fish. And again, we're going to look at versus human, but we're going to look at what's called the excretory system, which includes the kidneys. So the kidney and the excretory system. Now, in general, what happens is all the blood is filtered through 2 kidneys in a human, and the kidneys are located on each side of the body, and they're just kind of where your lowest rib is in your back area. So the kidneys are located right there, and they take and filter the blood. Very complex. In high school, you guys will learn all the structures of the kidney. But basically, there's a key loop, kind of a big loop in here called a nephron. Nephron's pretty complicated, but the nephron, N-E, that's supposed to be an E, phron, is in the kidney, and this is what actually does the filtering of the blood. So the blood goes through the nephron, and it filters out urine. And then the urine is passed out of the kidney down to the bladder. The bladder sits very low in your torso, and then there's a short tube that moves the fluid out of the bladder and outside of the body. Now, this tube from the bladder, let's go ahead and label the kidney first of all. Here's the kidney. And the kidney is the filter, the main filter. The tube from the kidney down to the bladder is an interesting one. It's called a ureter. So let's ureter, U-R-E-T-E-R. That's the tube that goes simply, it just connects the kidney down to the bladder. And the bladder is a muscular bag, really, that expands, it fills up with urine, and then there's a point where it reaches and it's really extended, and it sends a signal at that point and says, I gotta go to the bathroom. And so you get out of bed or you get up wherever you are and you make your way, and the bladder is stretched and it's just sending the signal it can't stretch any further, and so you use the restroom. Now the urine goes out of the bladder through the urethra. The urethra. So it's kind of an interesting thing. How do you remember urethra and ureter? And I can't really tell you. I've just learned it, and I don't have any way of remembering that. But you've got to come up with something. They both start with U-R-E. Okay, urethra is a little longer word, so I don't know how you're going to remember that. But anyway, the urethra is the exit from the bladder to the outside of the body. Okay, and so this is part of your excretory system. Now, your excretory system includes other things as well. So, for instance, if you were to list structures of this excretory system, you would include, you would have to include the kidney, the bladder, the ureter, the urethra, urethra, you would include the anus, right? You would include the rectum. Okay, these would be areas where waste is stored. You would even include your sweat glands, because your sweat glands are going to let off sweat. And sweat is a very diluted form of urine. So it's clean. By the way, urine is clean too. Urine has no germs in it. But just because it's clean, you shouldn't drink that, and you all know that. But it's and sweat, it's not the same thing. It's not good for you to. I mean, if you lick your skin when you've sweated, you know it's a salty taste, and those are some of the salts that are dissolved in it. Another couple things that excrete things are your tear ducts. Your tear ducts also excrete. So these are the main structures of the excretory system. Something that's really interesting is how much blood the kidneys filter. The kidneys, just for your information, kidneys filter, the amount of blood that goes through the kidneys is 42 gallons of blood per day. Now, that's amazing when you think you only have somewhere between 6 to 8 quarts. In other words, you have about a quart and a half, or a gallon and a half to 2 gallons. So that means that all the blood in your body is going through 21 times per day. That's a lot of filtering. So So your kidneys are just constantly filtering. And from that, you will lose about half of a gallon of urine each day. And so this is, this kind of explains why we need to be constantly replacing that, because that's a lot of fluid that you're losing. Think of a half a gallon. That's a full 2 quarts of fluid. So we need to be drinking, and plus we lose fluid from breathing, from our skin losing fluid. So we need to really be drinking somewhere between 6 to 8 glasses of water every day just to replace all this fluid. So it's really important to drink water, keep being hydrated. Now this last little section that I want to cover with you is the endocrine system, and this fits in quite nicely as well because we talk about the blood being filtered, and most of these hormones that are put in from your endocrine system, from the different glands, are chemicals, and they go through the kidney, they go through the different organs of the body. They're chemical substances, and a hormone will make and trigger a gland to work. It affects another part of the body. So it's a chemical substance. It affects another part of the body. So an example is your adrenal. Let's see if I can spell adrenaline. Adrenaline. Adrenaline comes from the adrenal gland, and it goes into the blood, and it makes you, they say, flight or fight. So in other words, you have to fight for running as fast as you can, or running away from something, or picking something up off a person. In other words, there's been an accident. The thing that gives you all this energy, this strength, is adrenaline. Another one is from your hypothalamus. Your hypothalamus is in your head. It's kind of in the middle of your brain. It's a little gland there. The hypothalamus triggers when you are low on blood sugar, and it makes you hungry. It makes you want to start eating. So that's your hypothalamus. It's actually a hormone that goes into your blood. So these are chemical changes. I want to encourage you to know that it's a chemical that's going into your system. So there's 2 types of glands. There's a duct gland. Gland has a duct, and this duct is just a little tube that puts juices or fluids outside of the body, and by way of a duct, and so that's called an exocrine gland. And the other kind is a ductless gland. It's just a gland that does not put juices or hormones outside of the body, but it goes straight into the body. Okay? It goes into the body. And this is called an endocrine gland. Endo means into, exo means out of. Okay, so it's kind of a easy way to remember that. Okay, so this way it stimulates the body, and it affects your homeostasis. It'll affect your blood rate, your blood pressure. It'll affect your body temperature. as it kind of clicks in. So let's look at about 3 of these glands, and so that we understand a few of them, because there's lots of glands in the body, and this is just scraping the very surface of things. So let's take a look at the pituitary. Now earlier this year we talked about the pituitary gland being known as the master gland because it controls all the other glands of the body. It affects all the rest. It's about the size of a cherry. It's very small. And it's right inside the middle of your brain. It's real deep down at the base of the brain. It's attached to the hypothalamus. And this particular gland produces 10 hormones. It produces the growth hormone that makes your skeleton grow. Sometimes if it doesn't grow very big, you're called a midget. If it grows too big, you're called a giant, right? It also puts reproductive hormones that make your body change as you get older, like in your teens. Your body changes. You go through, like men will get hair on their face and hair in their armpits, and their muscles start to develop. And women, they develop, and women develop softer, rounder features. Both men and women get hair on their legs and under their arms, however, but that all kind of clicks in through the reproductive hormone. And there's other changes as well. And then, of course, the thyroid gland looks like a butterfly with wings. The thyroid, right down the butterfly with wings. It's right in your throat region. And the thyroid really regulates your metabolism. If you have a high active metabolism, or if you have a low metabolism and you're just kind of slow and sluggish. That's the thyroid gland. And it produces thyroxine, is the name of the hormone. So this is the gland that needs iodine. So some of you have seen salt. It says iodized salt. That's good for your thyroid gland. It helps your thyroid do well. Let's look at your pancreas. The pancreas is a gland. It's near the liver, and it produces pancreatic juice that goes right into the digestion of food. But its big thing that I want you to know is it produces insulin, and insulin takes down the blood sugar. It reduces the blood sugar. So after a meal, and you've got a lot of blood sugar, the pancreas produces insulin. And people that can't produce insulin are diabetic. You've heard of diabetes, where you don't have enough insulin, so your blood level sugar goes way up. And that can be harmful, to have too much blood sugar. So you have to take a supplement called insulin, and it's usually by injection, and that removes some of that blood sugar. And then you have your adrenal gland. And we talked about adrenaline. And adrenaline picks up your body pace. It is used in stress situations. So if you see an accident or you have to work and respond quickly, your adrenaline pumps into your body and picks up your blood pressure, and you can run faster, and you do these amazing things. So it stimulates the liver, and the liver puts more sugar in your blood and gives you more energy. So all of that works in a powerful way to produce what you need for that kind of a crisis situation. Now, our last gland that we're going to talk about is the parathyroid. Parathyroid gland. And the parathyroid gland really are 4 small glands. They're located right behind the thyroid. The thyroid's kind of in your throat area, so it's back behind the thyroid. And this produces parathormone. Produces parathormone. Now, what is parathormone? It's a hormone that is controlling the calcium in your body. I'm going to write that because that's on your test. I want you to be sure. Actually, a lot of this material right here is on your test, but specifically, calcium is being controlled, the amount of calcium in your body. So if you have enough parathormone produced by the parathyroid gland, you are going to have strong bones. You'll have strong bones. But if you have too little calcium, you get muscle cramps a lot. Your bones can be too soft. So you got to be aware of that. So try to remember the pituitary gland is the master gland. It produces 10 hormones that affect other parts of the body. The thyroid gland is in your throat area, and it's producing and governs your metabolism. In other words, the amount of energy and activity that your body does. The pancreas produces insulin, and the insulin pulls out the blood sugar, and it gets the blood sugar stored as actually glycogen in the liver. So it kind of works with the liver. But insulin is the thing you want to remember, and that reduces your blood sugar. If you have too much blood sugar, you have a disease which is fairly common, and it's not a good disease, but it's a diabetes. Then we have the adrenal gland, which produces adrenaline. It helps us in stress situations. It picks up our everything, our whole metabolism. And you have the parathyroid gland, which governs the calcium that's in your blood. So, class, this is going to wrap it up. I'm going to stop here with this third tape, and be sure to study this and just know these things. I know Mrs. Van Omen is going to review some questions for the test at the Zoom classes on Tuesday and Thursday. So be sure to attend those classes. Be sure to score high on your literature vocab quiz, those last vocabulary words from Ivanhoe. And I hope that you all do really well on your tests. Know your notes, and you'll do great. So I want to tell you it's been a great privilege to have you in class. I love you guys. I like to see and have seen so much good work during the year. I just can picture so many of you. Sad that we can't be together. I'm picturing Mateo, and I'm picturing Theo in my mind's eye, and Sean, and Joseph, and Matthew, just going around looking. Alicia, just really appreciated all the hard work that you all have done. Izzy, I just miss seeing it. It feels like it's been about 6 months since I've seen a lot of you guys. But anyway, I'll look forward to seeing many of you next year, and hope you do well on this exam. It's smart to study, to make that extra effort. It is worth it to do well on the exam. So I hope that you guys will do that. And I'm going to pray for you. Father, I pray that you'd help the students to put the time in that they need, that they would just kind of firm up and get the resolution to, and the discipline, Lord, just to push it a little bit harder and to do well as they prepare for this test. We pray that you'd give them a good test, Lord, and bless them all. In Jesus' name, amen.